What if the one person you loved most, the one you buried years ago, suddenly sent you a message tonight? What if their words felt real, too real, and every photo, every shadow, every sound in your flat whispered their name? In a world where nothing online truly disappears, could the footprint of lost love become a doorway to something far darker? Stay with me, because this is not just a story of grief. It is a chilling journey into the echoes of a love that refuses to die. The night was quiet. London streets shimmered faintly under the yellow glow of distant lamps, their reflections stretching like liquid fire on the rain-soaked pavement. Inside a small, dimly lit flat on the third floor of an old Victorian building, Amelia Hart, a 24-year-old graphic designer, sat hunched over her laptop. Her dark hair fell loosely over her shoulders, strands sticking slightly from the damp air seeping through the cracked window. The faint hum of her computer was the only sound, mingling with the occasional hiss of tires on wet asphalt outside. She had been working late, drowning herself in projects, trying to keep her thought away from something she never spoke about anymore. A past she had buried, a love she had lost. Her inbox was cluttered, her social media buzzing quietly in the background. She ignored it, as she always did. Then it happened. A sound she had not heard in years. A notification from an old messaging app she had abandoned, one she had not touched since university. Her heart skipped. Her fingers froze above the keyboard. The glowing screen showed a single message. A name appeared that made her chest tighten and her breath falter. Daniel Mercer. He had been her first love. They had been inseparable at 21, their lives entwined with laughter, whispered promises, and shared dreams. But he was gone. 3 years ago, a sudden accident had taken his life. Amelia had stood at his funeral, numb, watching his family cry. She had forced herself to accept that he would never come back. Yet here it was. His name. A message. Her eyes burned as she clicked it open, her trembling hand brushing against the trackpad. The text was simple, almost casual, yet it struck her like a thunderclap. Amelia, do you remember the night by the river? The room grew colder. Her throat tightened, a weight pressing on her chest. She remembered. The Thames, its dark waters rippling under the moonlight. Daniel's hand in hers. The promise he had whispered. A promise that death had stolen. Her laptop fan whirred louder, as though the machine itself sensed something unnatural. Her pulse pounded in her ears. She whispered aloud, though her voice shook. Who is this? But the screen offered no answer. Only the blinking cursor in the chat window, waiting, inviting, mocking. Amelia's eyes darted around the flat, suddenly aware of every shadow, every creak of the wooden floorboards. The air felt heavy, almost suffocating, as though someone unseen was watching her. And then another message appeared. I never left you. Her hand shot to her mouth, stifling a cry. Her entire body went rigid. Daniel was dead. She had seen the coffin lowered into the ground. So who, or what, was speaking to her now? The faint rain outside grew harsher, tapping against the glass like impatient fingers. Amelia sat frozen, staring at the words glowing on her screen, her heart racing, her skin cold. The shadows in the corners of the room seemed to stretch, and for the first time since his death, she whispered his name again. Daniel. The cursor blinked once more, and another message appeared. I am waiting. The rain outside thickened, a steady curtain blurring the city lights. Amelia sat stiffly in her chair, her breath shallow, her hand trembling as it hovered above the keyboard. Her skin prickled, the sensation of being observed pressing down on her shoulders. She wanted to slam the laptop shut. She wanted to throw it across the room. Yet she could not look away from the screen. The chat window remained open, the last message burning in her vision. I am waiting. Her mind raced through possibilities. A cool trick, a hacker, or perhaps the app had somehow reactivated old, unsent drafts. But no, these were not Daniel's old words. They were fresh, alive. Her hand finally moved. Her fingers typed with hesitant precision. Daniel is gone. Who are you? The message sent, disappearing into the void of the chat. The silence that followed stretched unbearably. Every tick of the clock on her wall sounded louder, sharper. Her ears strained for movement. A creak in the hallway. A shuffle beyond her door. She told herself it was a building settling, the pipes cooling. But her heart disagreed. Then the reply arrived. Look behind you. Her chest tightened. Her breath caught mid-inhale. Every instinct screamed not to tame. Yet her body betrayed her. Slowly, with rigid movements, she twisted in her chair. The flat was dim, lit only by the glow of the laptop. Her small living room stretched into shadows. The kitchen beyond was silent, counters bare, the metallic sink glistening faintly. The hallway leading to her bedroom was darker, the door half open. Nothing moved, and yet the shadows seemed thicker, deeper, almost alive. Her throat was dry as she forced herself to speak aloud, her voice cracking. "Who is there?" No answer came. The silence pressed harder against her ears, almost buzzing. She turned back to the screen, her pulse hammering against her ribs. Another message had appeared. "You promised never to forget me." Amelia's chest ached at the words. A memory surged forward, unbidden. Daniel at 22, tall, broad-shouldered, with messy brown hair and eyes that carried warmth even in silence. The night they had walked along the Thames, he had pulled her close, whispering into her hair, "Promise me, Amelia, no matter what happens, do not forget me." She had laughed then, kissed his cheek, and said she never could. Now, her eyes filled with tears, the weight of that night crushing her. Her laptop chimed again. "I am near." The room seemed to contract, the shadows pressing closer. Her vision blurred at the edges, her head light. She wanted to scream, but the sound caught in her throat. And then the faintest knock came. Soft, from her bedroom door. 3 slow taps. Her entire body froze, her blood like ice. The screen lit up once more. "Open the door." The knock echoed faintly, lingering longer in Amelia's ears than it should have. She sat rigid in her chair, her knuckles white where she gripped the wooden arms. Her heartbeat thudded so loud she wondered if whoever, or whatever, was behind that door could hear it. The glow of the laptop screen painted her face pale. Her wide eyes locked on the last words in the chat. "Open the door." Her throat tightened. Her mind fought for logic. This was impossible. Daniel was gone. Someone was playing a trick. Someone must have slipped into her flat. But how? The front door was bolted. She had checked it twice. The windows were locked, though the wind still pushed damp air through the cracks. She forced herself to rise from the chair, her knees trembling beneath her weight. The old floorboards groaned, the sound too loud in the silence. Her eyes darted to the hallway. The bedroom door was slightly ajar, the darkness beyond it deep and impenetrable. The knock came again. 3 slow taps. Deliberate, measured, almost patient. Her breath came in short bursts, her lips parting as if to speak but failing. She moved closer. Each step dragged against the invisible weight pressing down on her chest. The walls seemed narrower, the shadows longer. The familiar hallway now felt foreign, hostile. When she reached the door, her hand hesitated on the knob. Her skin prickled, as if the brass itself was pulsing with cold. Her phone buzzed in her pocket. Startled, she pulled it out. The screen lit up with a new notification, not from the messaging app, but from her gallery. A new photo had appeared. Her heart nearly stopped as she opened it. It was her bedroom, taken from inside. The photo showed her bed, the window half open, curtains fluttering in the wind. And in the corner of the room, a figure, tall, broad-shouldered, familiar. Daniel. The phone slipped from her hand, clattering on the floor. Her breath turned into shallow gasps. Her trembling fingers reached for the doorknob again. It was cold. Too cold. She twisted it slowly. The hinges creaked as the door widened. The room lay in darkness. Only the faint glow of city lights through the half-open window touched the shapes within. Her eyes scanned desperately. The bed, the wardrobe, the curtains shifting like restless spirits. The corner where the figure had stood in the photo. Empty. A whisper cut through the silence. Soft. Close. Amelia. The voice was unmistakable. It was Daniel's. She staggered back, her body slamming against the hallway wall. Her hand pressed hard over her mouth to keep from screaming. Her laptop chimed again from the living room. One new message. Do not run. Amelia pressed her back against the wall, her nails digging into the plaster as though it could hold her steady. Her chest rose and fell in shallow bursts, her breath breaking against her own trembling hand. The whisper still lingered in her ears. That voice, Daniel's voice, but softer, hollow, as if carried through water or dust, stripped of its warmth. Her eyes darted back toward the bedroom. The curtains shifted violently now, though the night outside was calm. A draft swept across the room, chilling her skin. The scent of damp earth filled her nostrils, sharp and heavy, as though someone had tracked mud across a floor. Her legs wavered. Every fiber of her being screamed for her to run, to grab her coat, to leave the flat behind. Yet something stronger rooted her. A longing, a memory. Her Daniel. She swallowed hard, forcing words from her dry throat. Daniel, is it really you? Silence. Her ears strained. The flat seemed to hold its breath. Then, faint, fragile, but unmistakable, came the reply, I am here. Her heart clenched. Tears burned her eyes, spilling hot down her cold cheeks. The memories rushed back uninvited. Daniel laughing in the park, tossing a paper cup toward a bin, and missing on purpose just to hear her scold him. Daniel's arms wrapping around her during winter nights, his coat heavy with the scent of tobacco and rain. The promise by the river. Her knees buckled, and she steadied herself against the doorframe. Her phone vibrated on the floor. She bent, picked it up with trembling hands, and unlocked it. Another photo. Her blood froze. This one showed her own back. She was standing in the hallway, her hand on the bedroom door, exactly as she was now. The angle came from inside the room. Her voice cracked as she spoke into the shadows. Stop this. If you are really him, if you are Daniel, prove it. The laptop chimed again from the living room. Her feet dragged her back toward it, every step reluctant. On the screen, the chat window glowed. The necklace. Check the box under your bed. Her eyes widened. Her stomach lurched. That necklace. Years ago, Daniel had given her a small silver pendant on their first anniversary. When he died, she had buried it in a wooden box beneath her bed, unable to bear the sight of it. She had never told anyone. Her breath hitched. Her legs moved before her mind agreed. Back into the bedroom. Onto her knees. Her trembling hands pushed under the bed frame, fingers brushing against the cold wood of the box. She dragged it out. Her heart hammered against her ribs. She lifted the lid. The pendant gleamed faintly in the pale light, untouched, but next to it, a folded note, yellowed, crumpled. Her hands shook as she opened it, scrawled in familiar handwriting, unmistakably Daniel's. You are not alone, Amelia. The curtains whipped violently, slamming against the wall. The air grew thick, suffocating, and behind her, at the edge of her hearing, the floorboards creaked under weight of unseen footsteps. The sound of the floorboards creaking was steady, measured, each step deliberate, pressing deeper into the silence of the flat. Amelia's breath caught in her throat as she clutched the note in her trembling hands. Her skin felt clammy, her knees locked against the wooden floor. She forced herself to turn. The bedroom was dim, shadows folding into one another, yet she swore she saw the faint outline of something near the wardrobe. Tall, still, watching. Her lips parted, and a single broken word escaped. Daniel. The figure did not move, but the air shifted. The scent of tobacco smoke drifted faintly past her, the exact kind Daniel used to carry on his coats. Her chest ached with a violent mixture of fear and yearning. She rose unsteadily to her feet, her legs trembling, her palms slick with sweat. The pendant in the box caught the light, glimmering faintly as if it were calling her back. Her laptop chimed in the other room again. She stumbled toward it, the need for answers dragging her across the flat. The screen glowed, the chat window open. I am with you. Do not be afraid. Her fingers hovered above the keyboard. Her eyes burned with tears. She typed furiously. If you are Daniel, why are you here? Why now? The reply was instant. You never let me go. Her chest tightened painfully. Her mind returned to those endless nights after his death, scrolling through their old messages, refusing to delete their photos, reading his letters until her eyes blurred. Perhaps she had never let him go. Perhaps her grief had carved a doorway for something else to enter. The flat grew colder. The shadows deepened, stretching long across the walls like dark rivers. Her phone vibrated again. Another photo. Her hand shook as she opened it. Her living room, taken from behind her. She turned sharply, but no one was there. Her heart slammed against her ribs. Her laptop chimed once more. Do not look away. I am in the room with you. Her breathing broke into shallow gasps. The shadows flickered, bending unnaturally along the far wall. And then she heard it. Her name, spoken clearly, close to her ear. Amelia. She spun, and for a fleeting moment, she saw him. Daniel, his face pale, eyes darkened, features both familiar and wrong. He reached out a hand, his fingers trembling. But before she could move, before she could speak, the figure dissolved into smoke, scattering into the corners of the flat. The chat window lit up again. You cannot escape me. Amelia stood frozen in the middle of a flat, her breath sharp and uneven, her eyes darting wildly across the room. The shadows were quiet again, still, as if nothing had happened. Yet her skin burned with the memory of Daniel's face dissolving before her. Her heart pounded so hard it hurt. The words on the screen glared back at her. You cannot escape me. Her hands shook as she typed, her knuckles pressing white against the keys. If you are Daniel, prove it. Tell me something only he knew. The cursor blinked, the silence unbearable. Then the reply appeared. The scar on your knee, the one from the fountain in Hyde Park. Her throat closed, her eyes widened. She had fallen at age 21, tripping on wet stone while Daniel pulled her laughing through the fountains. Her knee had split open, and he had carried her all the way back to her flat. She had never told anyone else. Tears welled, spilling down her cheeks. Her fingers shook as she typed again. If it is you, why do you feel different? The answer came slowly this time, as if the voice on the other side was choosing its words with care. Because love does not return the same after death. Her stomach knotted. Her breath caught. She stared at the screen until her vision blurred, then forced her eyes shut. The silence pressed hard against her ears, until suddenly the faint sound of scratching began. From the walls, a steady drag of nails against plaster. First from the living room wall, then the kitchen, then the bedroom, surrounding her. Her pulse hammered as she spun, pressing her back to the desk, her eyes searching the corners of the flat. The shadows rippled unnaturally. Her phone buzzed again. Another photo. Her stomach dropped when she opened it. This one showed her asleep. In her bed. The angle was close, taken from the side, as if someone had been leaning over her in the night. Her knees weakened. Her lips trembled. She forced her voice out, cracked and broken. What do you want from me? The laptop screen flickered. Then words formed in jagged bursts. I want you with me. The air grew heavy, pressing against her lungs. Her chest burned as if she was sinking underwater. And from the corner of the room, she saw the shadows shift again. This time, they did not vanish. They stretched into a shape, broad-shouldered, tall, arms outstretched, and a face half-formed, pale and trembling, staring straight into her soul. It was Daniel, and yet not Daniel. The figure loomed in the corner, its outline shifting as though it could not hold its shape. For one moment, Amelia saw Daniel's familiar face, warm eyes, soft smile, the man she had loved. But in the next breath, his features warped, the eyes hollowed, the smile twisted into something sharp, predatory. Her stomach churned, her body recoiling instinctively. The air smelled of damp earth and iron, thick enough to sting her throat. Her voice cracked as she whispered, You are not him. The figure stilled, its head tilted slowly, unnaturally. Then, in Daniel's voice, soft and aching, Do not say that. You promised to keep me with you. Her tears fell hot down her cheeks, her chest aching with grief and fear tangled together. She shook her head violently. No, Daniel would never frighten me. Daniel would never watch me while I sleep. The figure stepped closer. Each movement stretched the shadows, bending the light, making the flat seem smaller, as if the walls themselves were caving in. The pendant in her hand grew icy cold, burning against the skin. Her laptop screen flickered again. He cannot come back. But I can. I wear his voice. I wear his memories. I am here because you let me in. Amelia staggered back, her spine pressing against the cold plaster wall. Her heart hammered so violently she thought it might burst. The truth pressed against her mind like a knife. This was not Daniel. It was something else. Something feeding on her grief. Her phone buzzed once more. She almost dropped it, but forced herself to look. The new photo showed her standing in her living room, as she was now. But behind her, just over her shoulder, the shadowed figure loomed clearer, its face a grotesque echo of Daniel's. The message on the laptop pulsed. Choose. Come with me, or I will never leave. Amelia's lungs fought for air. Her skin burned with the weight of unseen eyes. And deep within her, torn between terror and longing, she felt the faintest part of her whisper back. What if I go? The figure stepped forward, its face flickering between Daniel's warmth and something monstrous. Then you will never be alone again. The room pressed inward. The air was heavy, thick, almost unbreathable. The figure towered before her, its face flickering between Daniel's tender features and a grotesque mask of hunger. Amelia's chest heaved, her pulse racing like thunder in her veins. The pendant in her hand burned, as if it wanted to brand itself into her skin. Her eyes darted to the screen. The words glowed, sharp and merciless. Come with me, or I will never leave. Her lips trembled as she whispered, barely audible. Daniel, if you are truly him, then tell me the last thing you said to me before you left that night. The figure froze. Its head tilted. The silence stretched unbearably. Then, in Daniel's voice, it replied, I said I loved you. Her stomach clenched. Her breath faltered. That was wrong. That night, by the river, Daniel's last words had been different. She remembered them with painful clarity. He had said, Promise me you will live, even if I cannot. Her tears blurred her vision. Her grief, raw and heavy, twisted into something sharper. Fury, defiance. Her voice cracked but rose with strength. You are not him. The shadows rippled violently, the figure's face distorting into a snarl. The walls trembled. The lights flickered. Her laptop screen exploded with messages, lines of jagged text flooding down. Liar, liar, liar. You are mine. You kept me alive. You cannot erase me. Her chest burned as though invisible hands were crushing her ribs. Her knees buckled, but the pendant in her hand pulsed again, faint light shimmering from its surface. The memory of Daniel's true words echoed inside her. Promise me you will live. With a sob that was half scream, Amelia clutched the pendant to her chest. I promise you, and I will keep that promise. The figure shrieked, the sound tearing through the flat like glass shattering. The shadows convulsed, pulling back from the walls, writhing like smoke caught in a storm. The stench of damp earth and iron choked the air, then dissolved. The figure's form twisted, stretched, and ripped apart into nothingness. The room fell silent. Amelia collapsed to her knees, gasping for air, her tears soaking the floor. The pendant glowed faintly in her palm, then faded to silver once more. The laptop screen went black. Her phone, too, was silent. No more photos. No more messages. Only silence. Amelia lifted her head slowly, her body trembling with exhaustion. For the first time in years, the weight of Daniel's ghost lifted from her heart. He was gone, truly gone. And in that aching emptiness, she felt something new. Not peace, not yet, but freedom. She whispered into the quiet, her voice soft and resolute. Goodbye, Daniel. Outside, the rain finally ceased. The city light shimmered clean against the wet pavement, and a faint breeze stirred through the cracked window. Amelia closed the box, placed the pendant back inside, and pushed it beneath the bed once more. This time, she knew it would stay there. And with shaking hands, she shut her laptop, turning her back on the ghost of a love that had once defined her. The night was still, but her heart, though bruised, beat with the promise of tomorrow. This story, echoes of a lost love in digital footprints, takes you through Amelia's haunting discovery when her late lover's digital traces resurface, leading to a confrontation with something not of this world. A tale of love, grief, and the shadows that cling to our online lives. It reminds us that not every memory should be revisited. If you enjoyed this story and want to hear more chilling and mysterious tales, make sure to like subscribe, and turn on the bell icon so you never miss the next episode.